Okay, that's what we're going to get into right now. We're going to start talking about the different types of divination, sacrifices, and observances. Okay, so you've got, let's start with the types of divination. You got obi, which is kola nut. You've got orogbo, which is bitter kola. You've got, now obi and orogbo. Obi is pretty much universal. You give obi to all orisha except Shango. Shango is the only orisha who will not take obi. Next, you would have orogbo, which is bitter kola. Many deities will take bitter kola. Only Obatala does not take bitter kola, orogbo. It's taboo for Shango, for Obatala. But most of the other deities will take Orogbo. But Orogbo primarily belongs to Shango. Next, you've got yams, right? So you could get, and you're talking about yams, African yams, you know, they're big. You get the yam, you would slice it down the middle, lengthwise, and those could be used for divination for a variety of reasons. Then you've got snails. Snails, African snails, again, like African yams. You're talking about a big snail, land snail, big, like this, big. Maybe like that. Small won't be like that, but African snail is big. Those will be used for divination. To my knowledge, only for Obatala will be using snails. You've got cowry shells, Eri. You got 4 cowries. That will be used by the hunters. You've got Erindinlogun. That's 16 cowries. That will be used by most of the other Orisha devotees. Except for Ogun. Ogun will primarily use 4 cowries. But Shango, Obatala, Oshun, Yemoja, they would all use 16 cowries. Agbigba, which is a kind of an Ifa divination, it's got fewer signatures, but Agbigba is its own instruments, like 2 chains, that you would cast together. You've got mirror gazing as a form of divination, where a person would have a mirror and they would be able to recite certain incantations. This is not a regular mirror, but there's been a consecrated and made powerful to see. A person would be able to invoke certain things and do different things with this mirror, right? Some person might lick the mirror, somebody might breathe on the mirror. A variety of things would happen, but you look into this mirror and it will divine that the person is going to be seeing more than reflection. Same thing as water gazing. Water gazing is a form of divination that a person will be able to look into water and see different things, figures, signatures, people, etc., and give information based on that. Then you've got dream divination. Dream divination in the sense that a person may be able to pose a certain question. Maybe if someone dreams for other people, right? You would be able to ask this person like an oracle. You would say, "This is my question. These are my concerns," and that person would have their own methodology for being able to go sleep, dream, and then the next day or in a certain number of days, you come back and they will give you the message. This is what happened. This is what I saw. Depending on how their dreams are conveyed to them, they may be able to tell you in detail. This is a message from your ancestors, and they say this and this and this. I also got a message from, some, a friend or a deity or something. It just depends on how in immersed in the dream world a person is. And then lastly, you've got what I was just alluding to, which is you've got Ifa divination. Ifa divination is going to use 2 different instruments. Okay, 2 different instruments. And one of them is going to be the opele. The opele is a divining chain with 8 different modules on it. And I should bring out my own opele so you can see. But opele is a way for us to derive 256 different signatures. Each of those signatures would have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of verses, right? So you can think of the 256 as chapters, and then you could think of the verses as sub chapters, right? Those would be sub chapters, subjects within a chapter. That could be, like I said, into the thousands. So either way, Okwele will give you one way to pull those 256, and then the diviner would, by a variety of means, be able to discern for a person this and this and this. These are the verses that are pertinent to this person's situation. The other tool that we have is called ikin. Ikin are palm seeds. They're black palm seeds. And those also can be used using an entirely different technique as from Opele, but casting ikin will also give you 256 Odu. And then the diviner would know how to determine and convey a message to the client based on those 256. Of all of the forms of divination, Ifa is the most expansive. Ifa is the most expansive with, like I said, 256 Odu and hundreds, if not thousands, per verse each for each Odu. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of prescriptions, hundreds of thousands of case studies. You could think of the verses of Ifa like you think of case law. Plessy versus Ferguson. This is a situation where this person brought a case before the Supreme Court, and these are the circumstances, and then based on the evidence, these was the outcome, and as a result, the court ruled in favor of blah 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 blah, and that became a law. That's Odu. That's Odu. So before I mentioned, verses that explain to us the days of the week, verses that explain to us the role of Ori, verses of Ifa that explain to us the principles of rebirth. Those come out of the Odu Ifa. Okay, and so we get all of our understanding of everything that is Yoruba from Ifa. If it's authentically indigenous to Yoruba people, its origin is in Ifa. Why this shirt is called Badie. The origin of Badie is in Odu Ifa. This is Sheshefun beads. Why we use Sheshefun beads is in Ifa. These are Segi. Why we use Segi beads, Ifa explains it to us. Obatala is the oldest deity. We know that because that comes from Ifa. Obatala created the world in these four phases, and he incorporated these deities in this sequence. We say that, and we know that because it is encoded in the verses of Ifa. This tree, that plant, this bird, this insect, this river, that mountain, this kingdom, that palace, this crown is featured this way. Everything that is indigenous to the Yoruba people is explained in the Odu Ifa. So when I say Odu Ifa is the most expansive, I mean it tells the origin and the structure and the nature of everything that is indigenous to Yoruba knowledge. It is the index of Yoruba knowledge systems. And it is the source for all the other divination systems that I described. Obi, Orogbo, yams, snails, Erindinlogun, Agbigba, mirror gazing, water gazing, dreaming. All of that is explained in Odu Ifa. And all of them, the others have a smaller sector of influence, introspection, and insight. Ifa is the only one that can see everything that they all see. But the others have different advantages. They can do different things. Some of them work more quickly. Some of them require less sacrifice or smaller sacrifice. Right? Obviously, they require a different knowledge base, a smaller knowledge base. Ifa, being the most expansive, has the biggest knowledge base. It has the biggest requirement for learning, memorization in particular. All the verses of Ifa, the level and the stature of the babalawo, who is the priest of Ifa, is determined by the amount of verses of Ifa that he has memorized. So the most prolific, most respected, most powerful babalawo is the one who knows 10 verses for all 256, 16 verses for all 256. So 256 Odu times 5 verses. 256 Odu times 20 verses. That's how a babalawo is measured by degrees of knowledge. And those degrees of knowledge are defined by the number of verses that one knows. Right?